My name is Frank. Today we're actually going to be covering how to choose a PC case. Now this video may actually apply mostly to beginners, but it may be a nice refresher for the veteran PC builders that we have out there. So before we actually get started in covering what factors you need to consider before choosing a PC case, I think the one thing that really is going to drive your selection of the next PC case that you're going to select is mainly going to come from you. You need to ask yourself a couple of questions. Is this going to be a media center that you want to build? Is this going to be your first or even an upgrade to a gaming system? Is this going to be an everyday computer? You know, are you going to use this at the home or in the office? So these are the type of questions that you kind of already need to predetermine when going into selecting a PC case. We're going to break down choosing a PC case into 5 sections: size, style, ventilation, access, and last but not least, your budget. When we're talking about size of PC cases, we're actually talking about form factors. And we have 4 form factors represented in this table, and they're the most popular ones in the marketplace at this time. To my far right, we have the actual Mini ITX form factor. Now this is mainly used as a media center in your house, or if you're at school, you'll see it in the computer lab quite a bit. Right here, following that, you have your Micro ATX. Now this is for your everyday desktop computing. You may have it in workstations overall. Then after that, you have your Mid ATX. Mid ATX gets you started into more advanced computing. You may get it as your first system build or gaming build, but then when you graduate to the next level of gaming, then you probably end up going to buy the full tower, the full ATX form factor. Other things to keep in mind when we're talking about size is you have to ask yourself, how many drive bays am I going to be using? Meaning how much memory are you planning to actually use? Are you actually going to configure a RAID system to some degree? How much are you going to back up your files consistently? So when we're talking about size, drive bays is going to be very important. Other things to keep in mind when talking about size is the actual space. One of the ways that you can interpret that is you got to ask yourself, how much memory am I going to be using? How much storage? Am I going to be having a big graphics card in there for gaming purposes or even editing purposes? So these are things that you need to consider when talking about size or when choosing the size of your PC case. Lastly, you need to also consider the cable management that's going to be available within the case itself. So for example, this case may come in, this full ATX case may have, different features that you have for cable management. It may have rivets. It may have other space savers that you can actually, manage your cable to improve your ventilation. And we'll get to that in just a second. Lastly, the other thing that you have to consider when talking about the size of your case is where is the power supply actually going to be placed? Sometimes a actual PC case may come with the power supply attached, and that power supply can be in the top of the case or in the actual bottom. I have an example here of a Micro ATX case, which actually has the power supply at the top of the case. When considering ventilation, that's another key feature when choosing a PC case. Meaning, once you install your components, it's just like a car, they're going to generate heat. Consider how the computer takes in airflow and how it releases the airflow. So this becomes a very important feature on the PC case, how it handles ventilation. Built into that part of the ventilation are these cases going to have an option for putting fans on the side of the case? Are they going to have options to put it, not only in the back of the case, but maybe in the front of the case? So these are 3 areas that you may want to take a look at when you're considering ventilations. Where are these cooling fans going to be? But if you're more of an advanced builder, then you may also be considering liquid cooling. So again, that part of the ventilation process becomes very key, and that also impacts the size of the case. So at that point, you may be wanting to consider a full tower or even, maybe a mid ATX tower. But we probably suggest going with a full tower at that point if you're going into liquid cooling. All right, so for you narcissistic builders, let's talk about style.
But if you do not have style, if you just say, well, here I am, as a human being, how can I express myself? totally and completely. Now, that way, you won't create a style.
Style is in the eye of the beholder. So that depends on how you actually want to pimp out your rig. In this case, for the veteran builders out there, you've seen maybe pictures online and even from our Facebook page. You know, a lot of dedicated builders actually have a fun time, pimping out their rig, meaning that they put the LED lights in there, they want to show off the liquid cooling. Again, these are type of things that you need to consider when choosing a PC case. What flexibility is the case that you are choosing going to give you? You know, do you want a clear, transparent side panel? What type of finish are you looking for? Is it aluminum? Is it steel? What type of coating? Is it powder coated? These are the type of things that you want to make sure that you consider when actually talking about style. There's other cases out there that you can actually, custom paint them. And all of that, again, it comes down to the creativity. It doesn't just have to be a dull black tower or, single color tower. Now let's hit you where it hurts, the wallet. So depending on the case that you're going to choose, you have a couple of different budget options for you. So for example, this micro ATX case here is going to run you anywhere from about, $20 something to about $50. Then you have your mid ATX cases here, and they're going to run you anywhere from about, $50 to $120 roughly, depending on the manufacturer and make and what you're looking for. And then, I would say anything above $120 to about $200, $300 is where you're going to find, the top-end gaming full towers. So that all depends on your budget. If you're doing, again, a budget build, if you're actually doing a gaming rig or an everyday use PC, there's options for you. All right, now pretend that you're in a club and you want VIP access. So what type of access do you want in your PC case? Actually one thing that may be overlooked, but you still want to consider is the front ports that you have on the PC case. Are you going to want a lot of USB 3.0 ports? Are you going to want something that has a hot drive swap bay that you can easily swap out hard drives or SSDs? These are the type of things that you may want to consider when you're looking at just the front ports of that. Now, let's pull back the VIP ropes and let's get into the inside of the case and what type of access you need to look for. All right, so as you can see with this particular side panel that we had in this PC case, it was pretty easy to remove. So one thing already to note and consider when you're choosing a PC case, is it going to be tool-free? Now, we still recommend that you're always going to probably end up using a screwdriver just to secure your components easily from the PC case. But again, just consider, is it thumb screws that are going to come with it? How easy are you going to be able to navigate in putting the motherboard into the actual PC case? How are the drive bays actually, put together in that regard? How easily are they going to slide out? So here you have your optical drive bays, and here you have your memory hard drives here. So, is it SSD compatible? So that way you can put in your SSDs. Look at here in the back. Here are the rivets that you can actually route your cable management, again, to improve the ventilation and airflow, whether it's positive or negative airflow that you have that you're designing your case with. Where are the access to the fans? Where are you going to actually put your, liquid cooling? All of these type of things are the things that you want to take a look at when you're looking at the access of the PC case.